I built up to the 40 and 50. I did not start there. I started with 10 and then 20, and I worked my way up. So don't compare your beginning with my middle.
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Entrepreneurs, your business only performs as well as you do. In this episode, discover how small, intentional health shifts can supercharge your energy, focus, and productivity. Rebecca Russell, essential oil specialist and the author of The Art of Aging Well, reveals practical tips that protect your wellness and grow your bottom line. Get ready to reclaim your health as your most valuable business asset. So, Rebecca, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm glad to have you here too. Now, I know a lot of times I'm talking about things very specific to business and not necessarily personal. And this is going to merge really kind of some of the things that we need to think about on our personal life as well as business, because our health really impacts both. So I'm so glad to have you here today. And I wanted to first just bring up the fact that I know too, as entrepreneurs, having been one for many, many years, we often ignore our health because we are so busy. We're working long hours, we're running our companies, and we think like, oh, we'll have time later. And I know I've recently been changing this myself and focus more on like getting to the gym and all of that too, because I know how important it is. But do you even want to touch on how can entrepreneurs like shift their thinking to think really about their health today and not thinking, well, I'll get to it. I'm still young. I've got plenty of time. I'll get to it someday.
Well, we are not guaranteed tomorrow. So assuming that you have all this time is not very realistic. Hopefully we do, of course. But to keep putting things off like that, that's just not a very proactive way to be. And also, how you show up today is going to, how you practice self-care, which I know that's an overused word. I'm not talking just bubble baths and spa days, which of course are wonderful, but just the self-care of taking time to breathe, to meditating is hard for me because I have this very active brain, but I know I see a difference when I take even 2 minutes before I start my day to just be still. And I think entrepreneurs are especially prone to this of busyness. And I know when I first started, I was very, very busy, but I wasn't super productive. I didn't know what I was doing, but we confuse busyness with importance or being productive, and that's not always the case. So I love to, I'm not a numbers person, so the whole, bookkeeping, banking kind of thing is not in my wheelhouse. But when you think about your business and your bottom line, the bottom line is you need to be healthy and very sharp to be successful. And that is not going to happen if you keep putting your health last. And certainly the people in your life are not going to be happy because you are showing up for them with what is left. And there's not going to be a whole lot left because you are not prioritizing your health.
Well, I know you talk about energy and how that matters more than willpower. And so what are the top 3 daily habits that you recommend that we can do to start our day strong?
I think one of the best things I started was, I'm not going to call it a non-negotiable because of course things come up in life where you do have to skip something. But I'm very, very consistent about some type of movement. I'm not going to say exercise, some type of movement that will serve me. So, what is the easiest thing I can do that is simple, quick, and does not depend on how much energy I do have in the morning, because mornings I move a little slow. What's so easy that I can't not do it? There's no excuse. So one thing I do is bicycle crunches. There's no skill involved. Anyone can do those. And I have worked up to 50 bicycle crunches every day. Now, is that going to transform my body overnight? Absolutely not. But at the end of the day, when I am looking at what I've accomplished, I know I at least moved my body in a very positive way that day. Now, maybe I added on, of course, we should do more. But if it got real busy and I could not, at least I got that in. The other thing I do is religiously is 40 to 50 squats while I'm brushing my teeth. So it's called habit stacking. You're going to brush your teeth. So I just do that. It's a habit now. I don't even think about it. And then at the end of the day, I've done those two things, and I don't have to feel like I'm a loser, or I didn't do enough, or, I've done something every day to promote my health.
Well, I think that's one of the things. Oh, go ahead.
Well, and then just another thing for sure is fill your mind with positive content. 5 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever it is, a book, a podcast, yours especially, right? Anything that is going to nourish your brain and create that positivity. Because if you're constantly putting in the latest tragic news story, of course we need to know what's going on, but you need to counter it with personal development of some kind, some sort of positive. I don't even care if it's watching panda videos like I did this morning, because they are so darn cute. Something that fills you up with positivity.
Well, while you were talking just a little bit ago about the movement, it was making me think too, like a lot of times we think we have to do these big things. Like, at least now finally I've got on my calendar too, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to work out for 30 or 45 minutes or whatever that is. And so we have in our mind, that's what we have to do. But you were just talking about these little bouts of movement, even like 40 crunches, or we could do, or 40, squats, right? Or you could do the bicycles or things like that too. And we're often thinking it has to be, a lot at one time, but you're talking about just grabbing these moments, right? So I think that's something we could do too. Like if we get up to, grab our lunch, maybe we could do something for 5 minutes at that moment, or, just grabbing those moments and not thinking like we have to fit in this big amount of time, to go to the gym, or it's, of course we could do things at home too. But I think that's the mind shift that we have to make too as entrepreneurs, is that we don't have to block a big amount of time. Let's just use these moments. If we're on a call, maybe we're standing up and we're, having some movement. And of course, entrepreneurs who are on their feet and doing things, like if they have a manufacturing plant and they're walking a lot, at least they're getting movement there too. But those of us who sit behind a computer, sometimes it's a little bit harder too. But do you have even any recommendations too of if we are sitting a lot during the day too and we're not getting a lot of movement, maybe even some stretches or something that might be helpful for us to just be a little bit more limber than if we're just sitting all the time?
Sure. And before we go to that, I do want to say I built up to the 40 and 50. I did not start there. I started with 10 and then 20, and I worked my way up. So don't compare your beginning with my middle. So that is very important as well. And squats are hard. So that was a little harder to work up. So, yeah. And this is really, since I'm a writer as well, plus entrepreneur, with the business, I'm at the computer a lot. And most of us carry our stress right here. It's the neck and shoulders. And so when we're, obviously you want the ergonomic stuff going on. I even had at one point someone that did that come out to my house, look at my desk and say, what do I need to do to make sure I'm good, the optimal setup. And he made some very good suggestions, raising up the computer laptop so that you're not looking down or looking way up. And then of course have a good chair. That's important as well. And when you start a business, a lot of times you don't have the money, but these are things that are just so basic that that is an investment in yourself so that you can perform optimally. So if you have you're just using a folding chair, if you have to do that for a while, I get it, but budget for that chair that is going to be, or stand-up desk or whatever it is you want to do, that is going to support you in how many ways. So those are things that, you might not think are important, but to me, it's again, we're getting to the root of things. That's the whole holistic approach, is not just slapping Band-Aids on. So what are some simple fixes? And that's definitely one of them. And of course we have AI now, so you can ask them what's optimal. But the other thing are certain stretches, anything that's going to open your arms, your chest. So just do some of those, something simple like that, just in between calls, just stretch out. Another thing is to get up against a wall and just do this all the way up and down.
So can you demonstrate or explain that to the listener when you're saying do this?
So stand with your back flush against the wall, as much of your body as possible against the wall. And then do your, what would you call it? Angel wings, maybe? Like as a kid, you're doing those in the snow angels. So just do that up against the wall. And it will really, even me just doing that here, showing you, I'm like, ooh, I need to do some more of those. So just simple things like that, just tucking your chin in, because we tend to do this, move too forward. We're on our phones a lot. That's another thing. So just anytime you can think of it, just do those chin tucks as well.
Okay, perfect. Well, I know too, as entrepreneurs, so many are dealing with stress and, wanting to be effective running their company. If they have employees, they, worry about making payroll and all the different things that come up. And I would love for you just to share maybe some natural ways that as entrepreneurs, we can reduce the stress in our work days, that we could be healthier.
Well, meditation is something, again, that I'm very much a beginner at, and I do guided meditations. I've worked my way up to maybe at the most 10 minutes of just music in the background, because I do have a very, very active brain. But that really centers you, grounds you. And the guided meditations are some awesome guided meditations. All Is Well by Gabrielle Bernstein is so beautiful. And one of the phrases in there I absolutely love, because I'm very heart driven, and the business side of the business is sometimes a challenge for me. And trying to figure out pricing, it's so hard. But she has a phrase in there that I make a meaningful contribution to the world, and I am wonderfully compensated for that contribution. And I just realized that's not her. That's a different, but All Is Well is her meditation. It's 5 minutes. That's all. The one I'm thinking of is a 12-minute meditation, and I'll send you the link for it. But he has so many wonderful phrases in there that are positive, and it's just beautiful. So while I'm doing my crunches, I'm listening to that.
I think for me too, sometimes we don't always realize that we're not breathing as deeply either, if we're under stress. And so sometimes just taking that deep breath and just releasing it, and you're just like, oh, I feel better, right? I think that's one of the things
Yes.
that helps me, that I think we don't always think about our breathing because it just happens naturally. But I do think under stress, we just are like shallow breathers, and it is nice
Yes.
to just take that really deep breath and release it and then just let that stress go. And it's not always easy, but for me, I think that's what I have found is helpful too.
And speaking of breathing, of course, I have to mention essential oils because
Okay.
those can be incredible support tools for everyone, but especially entrepreneurs, because, like you said, we wear all the hats.
Mm-hmm.
So there are times when we are feeling we don't have the energy, or we don't have the focus, or it's just the cortisol is really high. There are oils that address those symptoms. And so they're not cures, but your sense of smell is one of the strongest senses. And if you think about it, a smell can just transport you back to a beautiful memory or a bad one, depending on,
Mm-hmm.
what it is. So, diffusing oils while you're at your desk or in your car, because a lot of people live in their cars. There are car diffusers that fit in your cup holder. This is a simple, easy way and inexpensive to just support you in whatever you need, because each oil does several things, but has an emotional component. So I want to share with you this book that is all about the emotional component of the oils, and it is called Essential Emotions. And it's Heal Your Body, Mind, and Heart with Essential Oils. And this is the 13th edition. They get a new one out every year around October because there's new oils that come out every year. But what is so cool about this is, say you're brand new, you're feeling lack, you're feeling that scarcity mindset, and it's really getting you down. You shouldn't feel this way. It's not helpful, but you're sort of stuck in that. Wild orange is the oil of abundance. So you can diffuse that. You can put a drop in the palm of your hand, rub together, and just breathe in. Who doesn't love orange? I mean, it smells like you in an orange grove. But it lifts your mood automatically. But it also has this underlying emotional thing about the abundance. Another thing where, like right now, I am getting ready to launch this book, and I'm a recovering control freak, perfectionist. And so self-publishing for the first time is really pressing on my buttons. And so I'm relying on those oils, on meditation, on the breathing, all the things, exercise, everything, and to help me stay calm, because I want to view this as a joyful thing. I don't want it to be something I look back on as the most stressful time of my life. I want it to be joyful because it's my gift to the world, and I want to help people. So, and ironically, one of the first things that comes to your mind when you're struggling is, okay, I play pickleball Mondays and Friday mornings. It takes 3 hours out of my day because of the time it takes to get there and then the time I'm there to play. That's a huge commitment for me, because those are peak times I could be working my business. And when I am on a deadline or feeling a little, anxious about things, one of the first, I should stay home. I should stay home and work on my list of things to do. And it's like, no, that is not going to serve me. I need to move my body that way. It fills me up being around these amazing people that are older than me and killing it on the court and inspiring me, and just having that camaraderie, feeling like a athlete again, which hasn't happened since my 50s. So it gives me so much. But that trade-off is 3 hours out of my day, twice a week. So I've decided that it is worth it. So I just shut those thoughts off when they come. So
I think it just comes down to the priorities that we have, right? And making sure that our health becomes a priority and scheduling it if we have to. I do the same thing. Like, I'm very attached to my calendar. I have so many different appointments and meetings, and I actually put on the calendar the times that I'm going to the gym now. So it's blocked, and now it's official, for me that I'm going to go. And so I think we have to do whatever it takes for us to realize, this is what we're going to do, and not feel guilty about taking that time for ourselves too, because I think that's what happens a lot of times too with entrepreneurs is we're feeling all these people are depending on us, whether it's our family or we have employees or our customers or whoever that is. We're feeling like, well, we have to keep working to make sure, that we are meeting all of the expectations of everyone that they have for us and putting us last. So I think we often have to change that mindset to say, well, if we're not here, we're not able to help any of those people. If we're disabled, we're not able to continue the business. And this is where I'm doing new things in my own company to teach entrepreneurs how to really have other people help run the company so they can have more freedom, and whether it's taking a vacation or just having less hours on the calendar, working every day. And so I've been doing it for my own company and, making some changes for myself too. So I think that's just where we have to realize we can prioritize ourselves too, and it's not being selfish or doing anything that is something we shouldn't be doing.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think too, I would love for you to talk about, this is not just for entrepreneurs. It could be anyone, moms with young kids, or just, someone who's working in a corporate job, that we often maybe have little things in our body that might be signaling that there's something going on, but we're thinking, oh, I just work a lot, I'm just tired, right? So do you want to talk about how can we determine when something might be a little more serious than just, oh, I'm just tired, I'm working a lot, and it could be something underlying that is something we need to really focus on and improve?
Well, I think the first step is awareness of what your body is trying to tell you. So a lot of people use a car as an analogy for the human body. So if your car is starting to sort of act up, but it's not anything real serious, you don't think, but then that check engine light comes on. So there are some people who panic and they take it in right away. Then there are other people who have sort of a wait and see kind of reaction. And then there are other people who get out a piece of tape and put it over that light because they don't want to see it. And so you get to choose how you react to this signal. And I think where this is going. If you panic, that's not always the right move, because you're out money and time and energy and worry, which worry can age you quicker than anything. So that's not necessarily the healthiest approach. A wait and see is okay, but I want to add to that you are actively seeking answers. You're not dismissing it. You're not just being, a Pollyanna and, oh, everything will be fine. You are actively trying to figure it out while you're waiting. But then of course, the last example is a recipe for disaster, because the longer you ignore that signal and you put your head in the sand and pretend it isn't there, you're going to end up with even more time, energy, money spent trying to correct it. It's much simpler to change the oil than to get a new engine. Right. But as the human body, we can't just trade it in for another one, at least not right now. Who knows down the road? But so truly, a lot of people take better care of their cars than their own bodies. They're more aware of what's going on in their cars than their own bodies. And so really listening to your body. I'm pretty in tune with mine. And I want to give you an example of how it can be serious if you ignore. So despite how healthy I am, which is amazing because of my genes, it's not good. But I have AFib and I don't have symptoms with it. So it's pretty challenging. But I have really made a point of listening to my intuition, my body, inner physician, whatever you want to call it. And I had a heart ablation 2 years ago. I was set to go to the doctor for my yearly. And the appointment was in April. But in December, I started thinking something's not right. I didn't have any obvious symptoms because I never do with the AFib. But something was telling me something's not right. Now, I could have panicked and gone right in, but I didn't because, I didn't have any data. And I certainly wasn't going to put my head in the sand and ignore this intuition. So I called and made an appointment to get the heart monitor because I can't tell what's going on without that. And I found out the AFib had returned. So if I had ignored that message my body was telling me, then I could have ended up with a stroke because I didn't know I was back having. Now it's not serious. It's not all the time, but still it's important to know that the ablation did not fix it all the way. So, but because I am very healthy, I'm starting at a place of strength and I don't have to be on a blood thinner every day. Just an aspirin, which I still don't like because I'm holistic, but I'll take that over a blood thinner. It's necessary. If it is, yes, you make peace with it. But I'm thrilled that because at 67, I'm not on any medications. I can live with being on an aspirin every day and not have that blood thinner. So it's so important to listen to your body. I also was having reactions to different healthy foods. And I thought, well, this is so weird. Spinach, why am I I feel awful. So some people would just ignore that and think, well, it's a healthy food, so I just need to suck it up. And I was like, no, this is not normal. This is not how my body normally reacts. So I did a elimination diet, used carnivore as my elimination diet, found out the some of these vegetables that are high in oxalates, the spinach, the broccoli, the cauliflower, they are bothering me. So if I had just ignored it, I could have caused all sorts of harm in my gut and been miserable. Just because for a lot of people, those are healthy foods, not for me. So you have to understand there's no one size fits all when it comes to your health. And you are the best judge of what is going on, but you have to pay attention. And if you're super busy, like most business people are, that means not keeping it all up here. You need to write things down. Track. Are you starting to get headaches a lot? Well, what's a lot? Do you even remember from one week to the next how many you've had? You aren't going to remember. I'm telling you, the days run together. So I would start keeping a diary of symptoms. What is new? What's happening? And then you can talk to someone like me or go to your doctor or however you want to approach it. I'm not a doctor, but I've talked to a lot of people. I also do health scans that can guide you to where your body's needing support. But you've got to treat it like you would your invoices, like you would your business, where you see something that's not the norm. You would not just say, oh, well, it'll work out. You would not do that. Right. So give your health, your body that same priority of what is going on here. And don't panic necessarily, but start getting some data.
Mhm. Well, this has been very informative, and I know we're coming to the end of the time that we have together today. So I wanted to ask if you have an offer that you would like to extend to our listeners, and if they want more information, how can they contact you?
Well, I am across all social media as the Rebecca Russell. So you can find me mostly on Facebook and YouTube. I do some Instagram, not very much. So Facebook and YouTube is pretty much where I'm at. My website is RebeccaRussell.com. And as far as an offer, I do have a free guide it's called The Ultimate Guide to Boost Metabolism in 5 days. Because what I have found in all the health scans and in my wellness consults with people is people are struggling with a sluggish metabolism. And that is something that is going to affect your metabolic health, which is cell health, and that affects how well you age. So if you do the things that are necessary to get that metabolism going again, it's going to have a domino effect, and you're going to have a better chance at aging well, which is what we all want.
Mhm.
And so that's a free guide. So you can find that on my website, RebeccaRussell.com, and download that for free. And then also, I'm pretty excited to announce that my book, The Art of Aging Well, Hope and Health Beyond Your Genetics, is set to release July 29th. It's not in stone. We never know, but that's the goal. And you can sign up to get updates on that on my website. And you can just be RebeccaRussell.com/author, and that'll take you right to that page. So
Perfect. Well, thank you, Rebecca, for being a guest on my show and talking about this topic. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I love spreading this message. This is especially about the book, because this is the book I wished I'd had 30 years ago when I first started out. And prioritizing your health can be overwhelming, and people don't know where to start sometimes because there's almost too much information out there. So this is just a guide, basic, just super, making it as simple as possible. Not easy, but simple and short chapters. So hopefully it'll be a great help to a lot of people.
Nice. I wish you great success with that book as well, and looking forward to hearing how that goes. And I would actually say to the listener, if you enjoyed today's topic and you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes, and go ahead and be sure to check out her website, learn more about her book as well.
Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guest and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.